Hi there. Today I'm going to be walking you through everything that the BlueTally platform can offer you at this time. Starting with the fact that when you are on our website, you can actually check out a live interactive demo simply by clicking the Demo tab. This is what I'll be using to demonstrate all of our features today. Also, it's worth mentioning that when you log into your own BlueTally account, this is an example of the landing page that you'll see. So at the very top, you'll see a dashboard and an activity log, as well as all of these additional sections where you'll be able to see more about your equipment. So starting with our dashboard, you're going to be able to see an overview of all the things that are upcoming and overdue within your inventory. Any items that are due for return, any audits or end-of-life dates that are upcoming. You'll even be able to see expiration dates for your warranties as well as your software licenses. While all of these are date specific, we do have two other events here, low stock and pending offboarding, that may not trigger on a specific date but trigger due to other information. I'll be able to cover these a little bit later in the presentation so you can learn more about how they work. What I'm happy to share though with all 12 of these events is that you can receive notifications for them with 3 different avenues. The first of which is the platform itself. If you click on this bell icon here, it will provide you with any notification that has recently occurred, whether it's an asset being due back, end-of-life date occurring, a warranty expiration. All of that information will be available here. You can also set up email notifications by visiting your settings and scrolling down to where you see the email notification section. Here you'll be able to enter the email addresses you want to receive this notification, and you can toggle on the specific notifications that you would like to receive. Finally, we also offer integrations with Microsoft Teams and Slack. With those integrations, you'll have a BlueTally channel on either your Slack or Teams platform where you can see these notifications appear. Essentially, once you've set up BlueTally, you won't have to worry about missing any important event in your inventory. Below the dashboard, we have our activity log. This is going to show you a full list of anything that has ever happened to your inventory. So if somebody checks an item in or out, if they edit something or they delete something, you're going to be able to have a record of that information here. You'll see the timestamps and when that change occurred, and you'll also be able to see which account user on your BlueTally instance was the one to make this change. It's a great way to have accountability and transparency on who's doing what within your BlueTally instance. Now, you may notice this is only showing the most recent updates to your account. However, if you click on the Browse All button, it will take you to the activity report, which functions as a long-form version of your activity log. If we scroll down a little bit further, not only will we see more changes than what we saw on the landing page, you can also click on past pages to see a history of any change that has ever occurred on your account since the moment you created it. So again, we do prioritize transparency and accountability for your assets. Coming back to our landing page, there's one final section here at the bottom, and this serves as a basic asset overview. You'll be able to see values such as your total asset value, a percentage of how many of your assets are currently being utilized, and we also provide charts that break down your assets by the categories and statuses they're currently using. It is worth mentioning that you can view your assets by status or by category by visiting the drop-down menu under Assets in the navigation bar, and you can customize and add new categories and statuses when you click on the appropriate section under the More tab in the navigation bar. You're not limited by just the options you see here in the demo. You can create your own. Now, we're going to jump into the All Assets page. This is where you're going to be able to see a full overview of all the assets currently on your account with key information visible at a glance. You'll be able to see some general information such as the status of the asset, its serial number, warranty information, and pretty much everything else that you see on this page. Additionally, you can create custom fields that will also appear in this asset overview. Also, you can organize how this looks for you. You can customize the view by changing how your columns are arranged. You can perhaps move your warranty column further to the left, like we see here. If I don't want to see this product, or not the product column, but if I don't want to see the serial column, I can click Hide, and it will hide the column without deleting any of the data. It's just removing it from my view. Additionally, you can restore the defaults back to what we saw in the beginning. Again, these columns, they can be organized for how you see it, but they're not going to affect how any of your other account users see this page, so it's just for you. We also have powerful filtering options that allow you to filter by any data you see on the platform. This includes any custom fields that you create. We can search by a specific product, and now we filtered for those iPad Pros. Now we can also filter for a specific manufacturer, like Dell. In fact, we can even combine some of these filters. Let's say I want to see what deployed laptops we currently have. By using the deployed and laptops filters for statuses and categories respectively, I've now applied something a little bit more specific to what I'm looking for. So we can see all 7 assets here that have been deployed and that happen to be laptops. Additionally, I can change how the columns look however I'd like. Let's say I want to hide that asset name column. Now, I have customized this view in a way that provides the information that I'm looking for. Additionally, I can click on the export button to export whatever data is currently showing on this page into an Excel spreadsheet. So right now, I would generate a report with 7 deployed laptop assets with no asset name column. However, I could come in here, restore these to the defaults, back to what we saw before, and now if I click export, it's going to show all the data as we originally see it. So there's a lot of customizability in how you can extract information from your account. I also want to share that if you are using an MDM platform with which we integrate, such as Intune, Jamf, or Kanji, we have integrations that will allow all of your devices from your MDM to show up on your BlueTally account like you see here. Additionally, those systems are going to continue to sync with BlueTally every 10 minutes. So any update you make in your Intune, Jamf, or Kanji will carry over into your BlueTally. This even includes assigning devices to a specific user in your MDM and having that information carry over. Again, that sync is going to occur every 10 minutes, so while it's not instantaneous, it does stay very up to date. Now, every single one of these assets gets its own page where we can see more information about it in depth. We're going to click on this very first asset here, the XPS 13-inch computer, and now we'll be able to get more information about it. So you can see here there's a box in the upper right hand corner that shows the current status of the asset as well as its location, and where you see the green button you'll be able to initiate the checkout process. I'll talk more about how to do this in just a little bit. What I want to do now is go over what you're going to see in each of these tabs of information, starting with the About tab and the QR code you see here. Our system automatically generates QR codes for every single one of your assets, and you can also enable this for accessories, consumables, and components as well. With our QR codes, they can be scanned by any conventional smartphone camera app without any proprietary hardware required. Additionally, scanning this QR code is going to bring you to this asset page on your mobile web browser. We don't currently offer a mobile app at this time, but it will be available within the next year or so. In the meantime, our software is compatible with all standard mobile web browsers, so you can pull this up on your Chrome or your Firefox or your Safari. You'll be able to see your asset information on your phone and potentially initiate a checkout by clicking on this button from your mobile web browser. You also don't have to worry about strangers seeing this QR code and reading it from their own camera app, simply because you will be prompted to log into your BlueTally account before you see this page. So if they don't have the means to log into your BlueTally account, then they're not going to see your data. We do offer native printer integrations. We can see that information by clicking on the settings hyperlink here. That's going to take us to the printer configuration section of our account settings. You'll see the various templates that you can use. We've got 2 for Avery sticker sheets and 1 for our Brother label printers integration. You can see information about how to customize your asset label. You'll see more information about how to do this for accessories, components, and consumables. And if you want to get more information to ensure that you have configured your printer integration correctly, you can click on the knowledge base article hyperlink here, and that will provide you information on how to use the Avery sticker sheets integration and the Brother label printers integration properly. So now back to our About Asset page. You'll find an additional section here for all the default data that we saw on the All Assets page. Again, any custom fields that you create, the data from those fields will appear in this section as well. Scrolling down a bit further, we'll find key data from whichever MDM platform you're using. In the demo, we're seeing that this is a section for Intune, and we're seeing information such as the compliance state and the OS version, but we also offer a similar section here for Jamf and Kanji devices as well. Scrolling down a bit further, you can see a dedicated warranty information section. We currently offer warranty integrations with Dell and Lenovo, so we're able to fetch detailed warranty coverage information from any device that comes from either of those manufacturers. Additionally, we do have articles in our knowledge base that will show you how to set those up properly. And then finally, we have a section for depreciation. This is going to show you the current book value of the asset after it depreciates, which is something you can share with your finance team and anyone else who might need it. We also support straight line depreciation, and you can read more about how to set that up for both your assets and your software licenses in the respective articles of our knowledge base. Scrolling back up to the top, we're now going to move on to this next section for the checkout log. This is going to show you a full life cycle of an asset from start to finish. You'll be able to see a full log of anyone who has ever had this asset with their checkout and check-in dates. You can even see the condition that the asset was given on a 1 to 10 scale. You can also include information such as photos of the asset, notes. There's also a section here where you can send checkout confirmation emails to the employee when this asset is assigned to them. And you can even have them sign digitally to confirm that they've received the item, acting like a legal signature. Once they've signed this, you'll see all of the relevant information here. It works like a timestamp and an IP address from where it was signed. I'll talk more about how that works when we get to the checkout process. Now, we also have a change log. This is going to show you changes made to the actual asset entry. So if somebody changes information like the price or the location or even the department, that information is going to show up here. You'll notice that the layout looks very similar to the activity log that we saw on the landing page. We have a section for components. Components are basically items that belong to an asset. In this example, we see that this laptop has a 2 terabyte SSD card. We want to make sure this remains with the asset as it gets checked back in again. So the best way to do that is by assigning this component directly to the assets. Similarly, you can assign software licenses to assets as well. You can also assign them to employees. However, anytime you assign a license to an asset like so, that license information will appear in this assets license section, and you can check it in from this page. We have a feature for audits where you can see any scheduled, completed, due, or overdue audits for this asset. An audit is basically just a check in our system to confirm that what is showing in BlueTally matches what exists in your real life inventory. We want to prevent ghost assets, and we want to make sure that what you see in BlueTally still exists. We recommend doing this once a year. We also have powerful self-auditing features that will make it super easy where your employees who have been assigned an asset will receive an email asking them to complete the audit when it's due. This will let them complete the audit themselves so that it can save you time and effort. They'll tell you that they still have it, and you'll know that the asset still exists. Now moving on to our maintenance section. This will show you a full log of any maintenance work that has been done to the asset, such as an upgrade or a repair. You can include the costs, as well as any attachments related to this maintenance work. And then finally, we have a feature for attachments, where you can upload anything else related to the asset, such as an invoice, a purchase order, a user manual, and more. You can click on the upload button here. You'll see the various file types that we support, and please know that you can upload unlimited attachments per asset. Now, we're going to click the checkout button to initiate the checkout process. Do keep in mind that if you use one of our MDMs, you won't necessarily need to do this manual checkout because the process is going to be fully automated for you with the MDM integration. However, it's still useful to see how this process works. The first thing to note here is that assets can be checked out to either an employee or a location. We're going to stick with employees for now. You can then search for that employee. You can find their name under the drop-down menu here. You can also begin typing their name or email address to search for them that way too. It will default to today's date for the checkout date, and while you are not required to enter an expected return date, when you do, this will trigger the due back notification as you get closer to this expected return date. You'll be able to receive notifications through the platform itself where you see the bell icon. You'll be able to receive an email notification, and this notification can also appear in your Teams or Slack integration. Next, you can set the condition on a 1 to 10 scale, add any photos of the assets, include any notes, and all the information from those fields will show up in the checkout log as we saw earlier. We also have the checkout confirmation email enabled for this particular checkout, so the employee who's receiving this asset will also receive an email. We can preview that email by clicking here. This is what the employee will see when the asset is assigned to them. They can click Confirm Receiving Item, which will allow them to digitally sign and confirm receiving the item. This doesn't require them to sign in to a BlueTally account, so they won't need to become a BlueTally account user in order to confirm they've received this item. You can also add custom notes for this particular feature, and if you like, you can skip the checkout confirmation email for this particular checkout if you need to. Additionally, this confirmation email process is available for accessories, consumables, and licenses as well. Once we've entered all the information that we need to here, we can click Save, and that will complete the checkout process for us. You'll see a message saying the asset was checked out successfully, and when we look at the box in the upper right hand corner, we see that the status has changed and there are other changes to reflect what we did with this checkout. Now we're going to move on to accessories now. Accessories work in a very similar way to assets, but in this case we're not tracking each specific keyboard or charger, we're just tracking the fact that someone has been assigned a keyboard or a charger. You may also notice, if we click on this Magic Keyboard page, rather than all 5 Magic Keyboards getting their own individual page like every single asset did, all like accessories are grouped together. This means we can come over here to the upper right hand box and see that there are still 3 out of those 5 Magic Keyboards remaining. The other 2 have gone elsewhere, and if we click on the active checkouts, we can see where those keyboards have been assigned. One of them was assigned to Laura back on March 9th, and it's due back today. The other was assigned to Edward on the 10th, and it's due back next week. Whenever we get those items back in our inventory, we can simply click the blue check-in button here, and we can also check out the remaining keyboards currently in our inventory if we decide to assign them wherever you see the green button. So there's still a lot of functionality on how to assign these accessories, just like you would for assets. Now moving on to consumables. These work in a similar way to accessories, with the only difference being that you're not going to be able to check these items back in. The logic is that when these items are used by the people who receive them, there's nothing to return to the inventory. You don't need to check an ink cartridge back in the same way that you might need to a keyboard or a cable. So, no check-in option, just check out. We also have a feature for minimum quantity. Anytime your available quantity goes below your preferred minimum quantity, that's going to trigger the low stock notification that we saw on the dashboard. You'll see it here with the bell. There are 6 laptops available below the minimum of 15. So you can trigger this for not just your consumables, but also assets and accessories as well. Now we're going to move on to licenses. With software licenses, we support both modern SaaS seat-based licenses as well as older product key license types. You can click on any license page to get more information about where its seats are currently assigned. We see that there are currently 15 out of 30 not being used, and we can see where all of our remaining seats have been assigned when we click on the Seats tab. You'll notice that most of these have been checked out to assets, but there is one here checked out to our employee Gretchen. So you can use both of those or one of those, whatever works best. Now we're going to jump over to employees. Here you're going to be able to see an overview of all the employees and the items that are currently checked out to them. I do want to mention that these people are not able to sign into your BlueTally account, or at least not necessarily. The list of employees here is the list of individuals at your company who can have equipment assigned to them in the platform. For those who you want to be able to sign into your BlueTally account, we refer to them as account users, and there's a separate section where we'll talk more about them. I also want to mention that we provide SCIM integrations for any identity provider that is SCIM 2.0 compliant, such as Azure AD, Okta, and OneLogin. When you use the SCIM integration, it's going to automatically populate and update your list of employees from your identity provider so that you don't have to manually add and update these yourself, thus saving you a lot of time. It will also fetch the manager information for each of these employees as well, which can be very useful. Now, let's click on one of these employee pages. We'll go with Gretchen today. On the About section, you'll see some general data about the employee. There's also a checkout log where you can see a full history of any item that has been checked out to them in the past, as well as when items get returned. So you'll see that there's been a lot of activity for Gretchen over her tenure with the company. However, she doesn't still have all of the assets and other equipment that have been assigned to her in the past. If we just want to see what's currently assigned to her, we can click each of these respective tabs in the rest of the page. For example, we can see that she has 2 assets. She doesn't currently have any accessories or consumables, and she has that Final Cut Pro license that we saw on her earlier from the license section. From either of these pages, we can check this license back in whenever Gretchen is done using it. Now, we've covered employees. We're ready to talk about the pending offboarding notification that we saw in the dashboard that we haven't yet covered. So if I visit reports and go to the offboarding report, this will show us employees who are pending offboarding. This refers to any employee who has the archive tag, meaning they are leaving the company, and they still have equipment checked out to them. Anytime this happens, you'll receive a notification saying that the employee is pending offboarding. That way you'll know to get that equipment back. Additionally, if you are using our SCIM integration, this can be a fully automatic process. Once you disable a person's account on your identity provider, the integration is going to flag that person as archived in BlueTally. We don't ever delete their information outright, especially through an integration, since we know that it's important to still retain that employee information even after they leave. That's why we have the archive tag instead. We do offer a few other reports, starting with our asset report. This will allow you to filter and select specific columns of data that you want generated in a report to Excel. For example, if I just want to see the assets associated with our New York HR department, I could select those specific filters here. I could also uncheck specific boxes of data that I don't need to see for this specific report. I could then download a one-time report by clicking the download report button here, and that will provide me with an Excel sheet. However, if I want this report to go out on a recurring basis, say every week or every month, I can hit the Save and Schedule button to do that. By clicking the checkbox here, you can then set a frequency, like say every Wednesday at 9 a.m. I can make sure this report goes out. I can give this report a name, give the email a subject line, and determine which recipients will receive this email, and then click Save, and that will ensure that this report goes out on the recurring basis that you set. Amongst our other reports, we also have a depreciation report, which will allow you to see the depreciation data for all of your assets, as well as your licenses in one place. You can export this with one click. We also have a due back report, which will show you a list of the assets that are checked out with a due back date set. You can filter this and export it as well. We also have an end of life and warranty report, which will show you assets that have both of those dates set in their information. Additionally, this can be filtered as well as exported. We've already covered the offboarding report, and at the beginning of the video, we talked about the activity report. Again, this is a long-form version of the activity log. And apart from being able to see all of the events that have occurred throughout your account's history, you also have the ability to filter for specific information, and you can also export this with one easy click into Excel. Now I'm going to jump into settings. I'm not going to cover every single one of these sections as there is a lot of information, but I do want to cover some key sections that you may want to know about. The first one is account users. As I mentioned before, these are the individuals who are going to be able to log into your BlueTally account. On every single one of our subscriptions, you are able to invite unlimited users to our system. You don't have to worry about ever being charged more for simply having more people logging into your BlueTally account. You can invite them by entering their name and email address here, and then selecting an appropriate permission level for them. We offer 4 by default. The administrator level can manage account settings, invite new users, and set up two-factor authentication, in addition to being able to enter all kinds of other information on this tool, including being able to check out items and enter new information about them. Managers can do that too. They just don't have the ability to update account settings or invite new users. They're just going to focus on editing and creating new data entries. Operators, however, can only view items and check them in or check them out, so they have significantly less access to the account while still being able to view everything. The My Items and Direct Reports items is a special dedicated view that will only provide these users with very specific information. You can see an example of this on the My Items and Direct Reports items here in the menu bar. When we click on this, this is essentially what someone with the My Items and Direct Reports items will see when they sign into their BlueTally account. You'll notice they can see the assets assigned to them, and if they manage other employees at the company, they're able to see who their direct reports are, and they can even view what equipment is currently assigned to them. Additionally, we support SSO for all identity provider platforms, so if you want your account users to sign in via single sign-on, we do offer that. Now, when it comes to the permission levels, we understand that while these can cover a lot of bases, they may not be able to cover everything that you're looking for. And that's why we have a custom permission levels module. This will allow you to create your own granular permission levels that may provide more specificity for what you need. Let's say, for example, I wanted to create a permission level for our New York HR department, where they can only interact with assets that are based in their location and department. I don't want them to create or delete anything, and I want them to have some editing permission, but not all. If I toggle this off, they're not going to be able to edit anything. So I'll toggle this on, and then come over here to see what I don't want them to edit. I can select specific fields and ensure that they'll still be able to view that information. They're just not going to be able to update it on their end. So I've created something more specific on what they can do with assets. I'll then need to be able to set something for accessories, consumables, components, and licenses. And then you can also affect what they're able to see regarding some of the other sections with a little bit more generality than what we saw above. You can even limit their ability to see certain reports or even contact our customer support team if you'd like. Now, we also have a custom fields module where you can create any type of custom field you want, whether that's a drop-down menu, a checkbox, a text field, you name it. You'll see some examples here in our demo, and you can also click for the custom fields knowledge base guides, which will provide more information on how to add these custom fields for each respective section of the profile. There's information, there's photos. I highly recommend using these the first time you create custom fields. Now, jumping back into our settings, I also want to touch on the API and webhooks features. While these are disabled in the demo, these are features available to you. The API is a fully fledged REST API that you can use to create, read, update, and delete any data entry into your account. And with the webhooks, you can automate your workflows, for example, by triggering an action in your internal system when an asset's warranty expires. I'll cover where you can get more information about these when I touch more on integrations as a whole. Finally, we have the Get Started wizard that will be available to you in the app once you sign up for either a free trial or a subscription. This will provide you with links to all the setup guides for relevant integrations for adding your employees, adding your assets, adding new users, and setting up notifications for your system. Now, this is not the only place you're going to be able to find these guides. In fact, as you use BlueTally, I recommend returning to our website as often as possible to get more information. One place you can get more information is our integrations page. You'll be able to see all the integrations we currently offer. Starting with our MDM guides here, you'll see setup guides for each of them. We also have a Jira plugin that will let you show your asset information from BlueTally directly into your Jira account. You'll also see information on all of our SCIM and SSO setup guides and the relevant identity providers for each of those. We have guides for setting up your Microsoft Teams and Slack integrations for additional notification support. We have guides for setting up your Lenovo and Dell auto warranty lookup. And then, of course, the Brother and Avery printer integrations. And finally, there is a developer hub for the REST API and webhooks, where you can get more information on how to make sure you're using the proper documentation and parameters for your API, as well as getting more information about the webhooks that we offer and how to set those up. There's a lot of great information in here. Scrolling down further, if you visit the footer section of our website, available on any page of our website, under resources, you'll be able to see a link to our knowledge base. You'll be able to view many of the guides that I've referenced and many more, including more information about our integrations, permission levels, those custom field guides I talked about before, some information regarding assets, how to set up depreciation, lots of relevant billing questions, and then, of course, printer and account information too. We also have a Vanta Trust Center. We are SOC 2 Type 2 compliant, and if you want to get more information about our security measures, you can simply request access where you see the button. Additionally, we have an intercom support widget where you can speak to our customer support team. You'll see this blue circle in the lower right-hand corner of both the website as well as anytime you are logged into your BlueTally account. Here, you'll be able to simply click on it and it will expand where you can contact our customer support team. You can also email them at support@bluetallyApp.com and we'll be happy to address whatever question or concern you have. I do want to mention that our support team only works in the office from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday Eastern Standard Time in the United States. That being said, we do work with customers all over the world, so we'll still get your message even if you message us outside of those hours. We just won't be able to respond to you until we're back in the office. You can also submit feedback to us anytime you'd like to see new features added to BlueTally. This is a great way to alert our product team that you're interested in seeing something new, and they might even be able to include it in their roadmap, and eventually you may see it as a new feature on our change log. It's taken a little while to load, but if you ever need to view the information about it, you can click under changelog under resources here, and this will show you what we've been working on. Now that you've learned more about BlueTally, you're welcome to click the Start for Free button to create your own free trial. You'll have 14 days on it without us asking for any credit card information, and you can reach out to us at any time with any questions that you have. Have a wonderful day.